Some of you know that my job is hauling livestock long distance, which is part of the reason why I don't get so much done on the trucks because I'm gone a lot. But I've been doing that for 7 years, and in the 7 years that I've been doing it, I've got to pull a lot of different trailers, and of course the four main brands of livestock trailers: Barrett, Merritt, EB, and Wilson. And so I've come up with opinions on the different brands, and I thought I would review the four different brands of trailers, or at least Merritt, Wilson, and EB, because Barrett's not really available anymore, especially in Canada. And now I'm coming from the perspective of someone who hauls livestock in Canada, so that means 3 deck loads of pigs, and I've done pretty much everything livestock-wise: sheep, goats, pigs, cattle, and every size of those, and in any kind of weather from +40 to -40. And so someone who does that sort of work tends to use every feature on a trailer, and also in sometimes pretty miserable weather. So you get to learn what is good and bad about these trailers. So I figured while I had a Merritt at home here, I would go through it and say what I think about it, and then do that for Wilson and EB eventually too. As another caveat, Wilson is by far my favorite trailer, and I think I have good reasons for that. It's not just a preference. I think they are the best designed trailer out there. And this isn't going to be coming from a mechanic's perspective either. I don't really work on them. It is purely from how well these trailers fit the job that we need them to do. Now, if you know anything about livestock trailers, you immediately recognize the profile of a Merritt. I actually do really like the front profile and the gold trims. The gold trimming definitely looks like a cattle trailer, which is honestly all they're really good for. I would not buy one of these to haul hogs. The main reason being the board setup is just atrocious. There's way too many different sizes of boards. There's really no rhyme or reason about where they go. So when you are messing around with winter panels and it's windy -20 and you are trying to throw all your boards in or move stuff around, whatever, what have you, it's very, very frustrating because you have to pull the majority of your boards out of the box and then try to keep them from blowing away while you're sorting through them to find every individual board for the side. It's absolutely a pain in the neck. You can get an EB with the same size boards front to back. You can get a Wilson, or Wilson's almost all are everything except for 4 boards per side, and those are very predictable places. It's a non-issue to hurry board up in the wind, but these are just flat out impossible. The other problem is the punch side. Every brand has its own unique punch side. Merritt and Barrett go for the size of holes that you can't put a foot in. So when you are crawling up the side of the trailer to check your animals, the Merritt and Barrett are definitely the worst because you can't get a toe in the little holes and you are more likely to fall off the side. This trailer doesn't have nose vents. That's more of a hog option. But the way the Merritt does it is they have 2 boxes that you open up for vents. They flip down and then you hook a little rubber strap. That's pretty inconvenient for the top ones because you actually have to crawl up the side of the trailer, unlike Wilson EB, where you can get a slider that's connected, and then you don't have to worry about climbing up the side of this thing, which if you look at it, does not look like a lot of fun. You don't really have anywhere to stand, and then again the toe holds come into play there. The other thing is, for the board box, that little latch there, like it's on a flatbed box, that's crap. It should have a long latch like the other brands do. That's just a flat out a bad design. The Dolly Legs, now this is a Wilson pin. They're okay. They come with a draw pin with the little yank pin in the bottom, like you would have on a tractor. That's also quite annoying because all of the stuff you're doing with gloves on, so the more little pin stuff you get into, the more frustrating the trailer is to use. these doors are a bit of an issue as well. These plastic hinges do break. I don't know why they go with plastic. And also the doors themselves are not framed very well. They just have a tube down each side. They don't have a top tube, so it just leaves the sharp edge here. Just an exposed sharp edge, not good. These latches, I don't hate. I think they're kind of unique. So you do that to open, and then when the ring falls down, it's locked. I do know someone who's literally kicked their way through one of these doors because the latches weren't very good on a fairly new one. But the biggest problem with these is when you are running 3 decks and you're unloading from the outside, you go in the side door to chase the pigs up. And so you have to close this door and latch it from the inside. And so when you reach from this hole up here to try to fiddle this whole latch thing, to try to get that and the ring down so it locks, that's frustrating. Just another reason why I don't believe you should ever buy a Merritt to haul hogs. As a cattle trailer, they're bearable. As a hog trailer, there's just too many negatives. I do like the lights. I know you can get these on a Wilson as well. They're a lot more common on the Merritts. I think they're cool. The roll-up door gets a pass. It doesn't have rollers in it like a Wilson door, but it also isn't way over-engineered like the EB doors. I think the EB probably has the worst door in the industry. It just slides on these rubber pucks instead of a roller. Honestly, I haven't ran into any problems with these doors. I'm not a massive fan of the rope setup, but that's more of a personal preference. There is one really nice feature about these trailers, and that is that the support for the doghouse actually flips down against the wall. A Wilson, it goes against the wall this way, but as you can see, if you have shovels hanging up, it gets in the way. And so having like this just keeps it out of the way of the rest of your moving parts. And yes, we do have shovels because in Canada you cannot run without bedding legally. We also take a pretty dim view of people running around with sloppy trailers. That's just not acceptable. For this gate, it does actually have one nice feature. That little latch at the bottom will hook into the ramp. It prevents animals from being able to get a leg stuck down the side of the ramp. The only thing is you can't use it if you have a lot of straw back here. So if you're running west and you have 30 bales of straw in the trailer, the ramp is obviously going to be sitting high, so you're not even able to use that. However, it also has struts that run from here down to the gate that hold it in place, and they are finicky but acceptable, I would say. This is not a Merritt specific setup, but it is a good setup. Even for hauling hogs, I would prefer this type of a back gate because you can open the trap door before you open the gate, and that is safer when you're loading cattle because you can get that gate closed. Because you can get that gate closed right away, as well as when you're unloading, you can open the trap and then the gate. That way you're not fighting with them to keep them down in the belly while you're getting the trap door open. One unique Merritt feature that I do like is the extra rib in the floor. You can see it's a 6-rib floor with the seam running down the middle. Some people don't like that because the shovel doesn't fit in between those ribs, but actually you just get a snow scraper, cut a notch in the middle, and that becomes a non-issue. In fact, it's almost easier to clean than the rest of them that way. Now this doesn't have a flip ramp for the doghouse. These pins actually work fairly good. I would like to see them beefed up a bit. I think EB does the best job with their pins, even if they do tend to fill and freeze in the winter, and then the doors have a risk of popping open if you don't pay attention. Bigger pins. The thing is, I've never bent a pin on an EB because I don't believe it's possible, but you do bend pins on Wilsons and Merritts because they just go for these kind of mild steel pins, and then over the years they get beat up. If you would double the diameter of that pin, it would never be a problem. So every trailer uses this every trailer uses this double ball setup to slam latch the center gate. This is okay. I definitely so they do this double chain. EB has 2 little ringlets on the top of each one. Wilson is by far the best because you can actually hook these up so you can swing the gate 180 degrees without having to fiddle with this when you're chasing cattle either to the nose or to the doghouse. Also, these are a little small. I think my biggest criticism of the Merritt is their pinning is too small. It's just the size of the hardware that they consider acceptable should be beefed up. This is a typical flip down ramp for a 2-deck nose. This is an EB latch. This is what I'm talking about. They're a much heavier latch. I've never seen one bend. Again, I don't abuse the stuff either. This is fairly typical. The EB does a slightly better job at making this even. For cattle, it's not really a big problem, but for sows, the EB's a little bit nicer. And then the nose deck, it's trying to be good, but isn't. This system, it's weird. It's like a double pin. You pull it up, and then out of the way like so, to keep the planks in. It's just fiddly. The Wilson just has a little thing that flips down to keep them in. And again, you're doing all of this stuff with gloves. And it becomes, you can see right here, case in point, it's just fiddly for no reason. It's like the guy behind the desk never actually gets out and uses the stuff and just thinks that's acceptable for... These planks are unique. They have a little lip that lips under the next one to make a better seal, which is, it's not a bad idea. It does keep things a little bit drier below the deck. These rails, though, they should be longer and allow you to spread these out on the rail while you are putting your deck in. Because if you think about it, you start putting your deck in and you can't move these planks back with you. So you end up having to take these planks out, storing them back here, put your deck in, and it requires an awful lot more work than if those rails would just be lengthened. The other thing is if you do lengthen them, you don't have to double stack these, which makes the stacks that much lighter. You can just single stack the whole mess, and then you can put it in order. One thing I don't like, this this nose plank here is a fairly bad design because it only comes to about here, which actually allows it to pivot, and I have a nice scar on my eye from this nose plank falling out of the rail and slashing me right in the face. Just because when you pull this one out from underneath it and you don't realize it's there, it just drops on you, and that's just unacceptable as far as I'm concerned. But again, I'm not trying to say that everything's absolute garbage. I do come from the perspective of things can be improved and should be, and I think the problem that they've kind of fell into is they quit innovating and they didn't keep up with... They do a good job at keeping the wall smooth. I do like that. But it seems like they haven't really kept up with or tried to improve their design in the last 20 years. And so when, well, obviously EB's definitely come the longest way lately in improving their design and making it more user-friendly. Some of these other companies just have not evolved, and so even glaring issues like the pinning and board setup just never get looked at. And in the long term, that just ends up in market share disappearing, especially in the Canadian market. The Merritt market share is basically nothing, and that's just because they are a distant third in design. I do think they are a cool looking trailer, though. I do have to give them that. The front profile, the gold, it is kind of neat. I might as well roll the door down and tell you what I mean by the rope set up. They just run the rope through two eyelets like that instead of welding a holder for it like everybody else does. And what happens is those eyes actually wear into the rope and start cutting it, instead of having all of that tension held by a knot like it is up there. In summary, before I would seriously consider buying one of these myself, I would like to see the boards, a maximum of 2 sizes, preferably 1, to fit the whole trailer. Those hinges should be steel. They should have latches, spring-loaded latches that are easily reachable from the inside, and also double the size of all the pinning. And that would be a long way towards a much better trailer. But anyway, I just made this video because I was bored. It's New Year. It's New Year's and I got stuff to do, so thanks for watching.